We're excited to get back to practice. We first, again, we're overwhelmed that our fans bought all the tickets at the Alamo Bowl so quickly, and I thought it was a great message to our seniors that and our football team that our fans are in full support and excited about having them close to home and in such a great city as San Antonio, and obviously a beautiful facility that a lot of these guys have played in high school. But also the fact that the Big 12 championship game is there next year. So it's really an end to a great era for our seniors and a beginning for next year's team wanting to go back to San Antonio and win in the Alamo Dome. It's also a possible 10 win. When you go back and look at the success these seniors have had, even the 5 years guys go 11 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 13 wins, and now have a possibility for 10. So they're excited about trying to finish in the right way. You look at Iowa's football team, they've played 3 teams in the top 10. They had battles with Ohio State when that one was like ours. It was a game that was significant to change the scope of the college football season. Then they came back and had a game with Michigan that was 20-6, and Michigan's still 2 or 3 in the country, depending on which poll you're looking at. And then lastly, they had a game with Wisconsin, who's 9 or 10, depending on the poll, and that was a 24-21 game that could have gone either way. So they've had a season of near misses, but Kirk's done a great job. Those seniors at Iowa have won a lot of football games. They got a lot of seniors on this team, and they will come excited to try to finish their seniors' era in a first-class fashion as well. Practice will be very physical. Yesterday's practice was good, but we've gone back to having bowl practice here, a lot like it's a spring practice. You have a lot of inside drill, you have a lot of tackling drills, and those are things that we need to get back to. And then we will go home on the 21st of December at noon after we practice in the morning, and we will all meet in San Antonio on the 25th, Christmas Day, and practice that afternoon and get started on a normal week's work. The guys will practice some, like Saturday morning. In the morning will be at 6:30 because of finals. Saturday morning will be at 6:30 because of study and so forth, and it also gives them a chance to be off some Saturday afternoon and study some more, and then be off on Sunday, and we'll go back to work on Monday. So Colt, we still don't have any other information on him. The doctors will not release him to play at this time, so we'll just have to wait and see, and you'll get the information when we do from doctors and trainers. But Matt McCoy would be the starting quarterback today if we played, and we are using Quan Cosby as the emergency quarterback. So he would just try to he would learn a limited enough offense that if Matt could not play and Colt could not play, then we would go ahead and use Quan in the ball game. Questions?
Coach, with Matt taking the snaps right now, has anything changed in the offense to simplify? He's been around a long time now, so he knows it upside down. Anything changed with Matt as quarterback?
No, you would do the same things. Obviously, it would be more of a limited package just because he hadn't played a lot. And when he's been in ball games, it's been cleaning up more than anything else in a game that we were way ahead. But Matt's a 5-year senior. He's made every trip. He's been around a long time, and he knows what to do, and we're just preparing him to play.
There's not much film on him either.
No, it'd be hard to get a scouting report.
Is this one of those deals, Coach, where if you're around long enough, you may see everything, and that may include having to play a walk-on guy in a bowl game?
Well, it does. I go back to the Georgia days when Greg Davis and Mack McWhorter were there, and they ended up going through 4 quarterbacks one year. And it just was an unbelievable thing. So sometimes that just happens to you. And obviously Vince could have been here. Colt could have stayed healthy, and Jevin could have been on our team. So we've been through 3 possible quarterbacks for this game. But that's why you always keep guys working, and Matt's worked every day. He's gone down to the scout team a little bit this year to try to help, but more than that, he's watched every play and been there, and that's just what you do. You have to be able to manage what you got and making sure that you don't use injuries as an excuse. I mean, that's the most important thing. Iowa's had some injuries too, and that's part of the game. And what you do is you go play with the team you have.
Coach, how about Quan Cosby? Would you change any of the packages for him? He did some things in high school that were pretty fun.
Well, he did. What you would do, Skip, is make sure that you limit the package again. He's not going to have the same number of snaps in the passing game that Colt would have. So you would go back, and we've studied his high school film. He's thrown the ball some this year. We would have some things that he can throw, but obviously it would be more of a conservative game plan than it would be with Colt.
Was he excited about it when you told him that he could be our emergency guy, or was he like, "Oh, Coach, what are you doing?"
Well, we didn't ask him. we were afraid he might tell us that, no. So he just said, he's the ultimate team guy, and he's so mature at 23 years old after the baseball. And he's becoming a great leader for us. So he's one of those guys that said, whatever you want me to do to win, I'll try to help our team win. So he was really good. And yesterday was really our first practice. We had an hour practice during the recruiting weekend on Saturday, but yesterday we had a couple of hour practice, and he took a few snaps.
Coach, after the A&M game, you said one of the main things you were going to do between that game and the bowl game was look at your running game and make adjustments if you think you needed to. You just didn't have the big bursting runs, the 30, 40, 50 yards. It showed kind of in the A&M game. Are you doing anything? Did you make any adjustments?
Well, we've tried to evaluate all year why, and it's funny, our best runs have been out of the zone play, out of the shotgun, more than out of the eye when we've gone back to study. And what has happened is, as Colt ran less, people could zero more in on the inside running game, and we didn't run the option with him at the end as much. We didn't run zone read with him as much. So we've got to go back and make sure that our quarterback in the future can still run and spread things out. And we thought that probably hurt our running game, but also hurt our protection, because we've been able to keep people spread out more than we did the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Coach, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you since the A&M game and since Fran apologized. Just your thoughts, is that done now? I mean, you've worked so hard to keep this rivalry a respectful rivalry, and it certainly didn't end that way in the game a couple weeks ago.
Yes, well, number one, I never feel coaches teach a cheap lick. I just don't. I don't think you'd be in this business if you wanted to hurt a kid. Now, you want to discourage kids and make them play poorly. But I've never felt like anybody tries to hurt kids. It's 33 years, and I can honestly say I've never, ever felt that happen. The thing that I was very, very proud of is when there was a lick that was that dangerous. Thank goodness Colt's okay, number one. But secondly, I was really, really pleased with the discipline of our team, that they didn't leave the bench and didn't go attack and try to defend a Colt at that time and have a melee like some of the other teams have had this year. So I thought it showed a lot for our team, but both teams as well, for not having a huge fight and embarrassing a game that's supposed to celebrate high school football in the state of Texas. So I thought we were probably really fortunate there, and both teams did a good job of managing it.
But you were comfortable with Fran's apology? And
Dennis and I have always gotten along, and we have no problems.
Coach, there were some high-profile jobs out there. Were you ever contacted by anybody out there about interviewing for Bama or Miami, or I know you're on the list, a lot of people?
Sally contacted me, and she said I need to stay. No, one of the things that we've done well here, Ed, is we haven't talked about other jobs. And I think when you sit around every year and talk about all the people who contact you for jobs, I don't think it's healthy for your job, for your fans and your university. And that's one thing. About 5 or 6 years ago, certain names pop up every year. And it seems like the old boys like to have their names out there. And they're usually the ones saying, yeah, I was contacted today. And we're really happy at Texas. I appreciate personally, and Sally more than ever, the way our fans have treated us this year, because a couple of the games we didn't play as well as we wanted to, and I thought they've been better than ever. and it just makes you want to win even more for our fans in San Antonio.
Mack, how about your thoughts on Todd Dodge taking the job?
Great for Todd, and even better for North Texas. He's done as well as any high school coach has ever done. I would imagine. I can't imagine, and especially modern day. And Todd's a friend of ours. He's a great football coach. He's a super person. He married the Westlake family into Ebby's family, and North Texas is a job that needs something unique for them right now, and with the change, and Todd will bring that to them. He brings excitement from that area. He brings success. He brings notoriety. So I feel like that. I like Darrell Dickey. He did a great job. He won 4 or 5 championships, but at the same time, if they were going to change, I think Todd's the right guy.
Yeah, I'm reminded of it because I look at Iowa's team and Scott Chandler, of course, since I had played there. And I'm curious your thoughts on that's one native Texan. And then, there's Drew Tate, too.
Yes, well, Drew is one of the best passers in the history of our state. And obviously is from a coaching family in this state. And he's done so well at Iowa. You start looking at the great names that they've got, and he's right at the top of that list. I think in the top 4 now in all-time passing yardage at the university. And, won 11 games, 10 games twice, 11. They really had a good run while he's there. And I'm coming back home. And Scott the same way. Scott's one of those big, tall tight ends that he caught 44 balls, I think. So he's a guy that can make a difference down the middle. And I think they have 12 guys from the state of Texas on their football team, and a hungry senior class to finish right. So that should just add to the excitement of this game.
Coach, disappointed to lose Jevin out of the program?
You're disappointed, Skip, to lose anybody. When you sign a young man, you want it to work. And normally when you've got 2 quarterbacks that are the same age, and technically they were because Jevin played, if he'd redshirted, it might have been different. But when Vince left, it changed everything. We thought Jevin would redshirt, and then it would separate the 2 in class. And Jevin has been wonderful. He's a great young guy. He wanted to stay, but he also wants to play. And that's a very difficult thing. So he has done everything right. When all the reports came out that we had given him a release, really what had happened, we had talked to him about it some, and we were hoping he would stay through spring. And I think it just got so big that he really felt like he wanted to go ahead and see some teams practice in the bowl game and for the future. But he's at the office every day. He comes by to see the coaches, and he's just he's a wonderful young guy, and we hate to see him go, but want to wish him the best. And we've already told him anybody who needs film or wants us to talk to the other school about him, somebody will be really lucky to have him. And we still think he's a star for the future. We think he's really good. What else?
Is that one of those deals where you can't look back, and then if he turns out to be whatever he might turn out, you just kind of have to say this is our call and we'll stick with it?
Yes, there's a couple of things I learned in my life about 10 or 15 years ago that number one, you don't have redos. So you do the best you can do, and then after that, if it changes and turns out to be something different than you thought, you try to fix it and move on. But and the other thing is that decisions aren't irreversible. So we made that decision, Jevin made that decision, and now we're both making different ones. So what you do is you take it for what it is and move forward, and not beat yourself up over, should we have redshirted him anyway, should Sherrod have played, all those what-if things just get you beat. What you do, you try to learn from what you did and do it better the next time. But I'm definitely not a what-if guy. I think that's wasted air.
Anything else?
Hypothetical died. I don't get into hypothetical. I got too much real to study hypothetical. Anything else, guys? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.